So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Curtis De Lima. Myself, my wife Joycelyn, our sons Clyde and Jaden have been attending Engaged Church since January. I know some of you, but not all of you. So, here's your folks' chance to get to know who I am, hear my story, and get to know where I come from. I was born on November 8, 1986 in Kona to Eddie Chang and Narissa Santana. My parents were both young when they had me. They were 20 years old, and my dad wasn't ready to be a dad. His priority was everything else besides us. So at the age of 1, my mom left him, moved to Hilo, and got with the man who I call my father today, Bobby De Lima. At the age of 7, Bobby De Lima adopted me. He gave me his name. From the age of 1 till I grew up, he raised me, he took me in, and he never made me feel like a stepson. He loved me like his own son, treated me like his own son, considered me like his own son. And I felt the same. I never once considered him an adopted dad, my stepdad. He's my dad, he's my father, you know. Before the adoption, we had my sister Natisha and my baby sister Nasa, who is below us. Also, at the age of 7, my parents started their own business, so everything was, there was a lot of work. When I wasn't in school, I was working with my dad, school breaks, Christmas breaks, whatever. I was with my dad. There was no hanging out with friends or having fun like that, I was always working. And for me as a kid, I loved it, because I got to hang out with my dad all the time. For a boy, it's very important to have their father in their lives. And for me, my father was my hero. I looked at my dad and I was like, that's exactly how I want to be when I grow up. And that's how important a father is in a boy's life. So my dad, he wasn't saved. He came from a broken home. He came from tough love. So his main focus in life, his main goal was to provide for his family. And his thinking was, if he's not working, he's not providing for his family. So for a man who wasn't saved, I couldn't fault him for that. And as a result, he instilled in me that values to work hard. Go ahead and don't be lazy. Get out there and do it. Provide for your family. Nothing's gonna get handed to you in life. Just go ahead and get it. So as for mom, she was saved. But she never really lived. She never really lived a godly life. She didn't go to church or anything like that. As for myself, my spiritual foundation comes from my biological dad's parents, my grandpa and grandma. Their story is they were missionaries. They smuggled Bibles into China. They could have got killed for it. They worked for a program called YWAM, and they're currently re-entering the mission field, and they're in the late 70s. So they instilled in me the Lord from a very young age. My grandma helped get me saved from when I was 7 years old. Until now, just steer me on the right path. As far as my childhood, my dad, yes, he was a great father, but he had his faults too. Like I said, he was brought up in a broken home where physical violence and verbal violence and abuse was normal, so he ended up raising me that way, as far back as I can remember, the ages maybe 3, 4, he used to cuss me out, swear at me a lot. He would call me things like, he would say to me, oh, you're disgusting, you're useless, you're good for nothing. And as a kid, it hurt a lot, and a lot of times he would put me down in front of the workers, when I'd be working with them, and it really hurt. But I always prayed to the Lord to get me through it. I always put my faith and trust in Him. The guys, they would always tell me, Curtis, why do you let your dad talk to you like that, treat you like that? Why don't you hit him? Why don't you knock him out? And I'm like, no, that's my dad. I love him. I can't do anything to hurt him. It was tough, but I could never do that. As far as a childhood for myself and my sisters, there was a lot of good times, there was a lot of bad times. Mom and dad, they fought often, because they didn't live a godly life. The Lord wasn't in their marriage, so a lot of times their arguments, they got physical. There's a lot of swearing and everything. And at a young age, I found myself trying to protect my sisters, try to shelter them from that, because they were really young. I was about 9, 10 years old, and it really made me grow up at a young age and made me really mature, which is a good thing now to look at it, because it made me to be the man that I am today. It taught me what's really important in life, the friends, the parties and everything. It wasn't important. My main focus, through elementary and high school was my sisters and to protect them, So when I got to college, shortly after, mom and dad ended up getting a divorce. That's when things got real bad, Dad wasn't saved, like I said, so he turned to something, and his something was drugs. You know, then his verbal abuse on me, his attacks was so much more personal with an intent to hurt me. He tried to break me with his words. He came close to being successful, but he wasn't successful. It was as if he blamed me for their marriage. That's how I felt. I didn't hurt. It hurt bad. I remember one instance in particular where I'm working with the guys, and for some reason, this one day he was just on me, just bad. Just cussing me out and putting me down, and to the point where I'm almost to tears. And he sends me to go to town to go get supplies. So I jump in my service truck and I'm just crying. Now, you're gonna rarely ever catch me crying, but I was crying in tears, praying to the Lord. I'm asking, Lord, why? Why does this man hate me, Lord Jesus? What did I do to this man for him to hate me? Because that's how I felt. And I heard the Lord tell me, turn on the radio. So for me, I listened to K-Love. So I turned on K-Love, and this is the song that was on. You're gonna do great things, I already know. 'Cause God's got his hand in you, so don't live life in fear. Forgive and forget, and don't forget why you're here. Take your time and pray, and thank God for each day. His love will find a way. These are the words I would say. No, sorry, I can't sing if my life depended on it. But that's the song that was on. So that was a message from the Lord, and I got it, Forgive and forget. Trust in him. I'm going to do great things, So each and every time I had a trial and tribulation from my dad trying to attack me, I always turned to the Lord, and he always got me through it, Before I know it, myself and my wife, we got married. We had a child on the way. And guess what? My dad fires me. He lets me go. So not only are we married, not only is my wife pregnant, we got a mortgage, and I got no job. Mean, yeah? So I find myself on unemployment. We got into some tough times financially. I went from being able to buy whatever I wanted, and all the money in the world, all the money of someone could ask for. Without hesitation, I could buy this, I could buy that. To, whoa, man, we got to cut back. We can't buy this, we can't buy that. I remember one particular instance where it was the end of the month, we got to pay the bills. My wife goes to send the mortgage. She was sending our tithe. She comes to me, we only have enough money for one. What do we do? Without hesitation, I told her, send it both out. The Lord is going to provide for us. I'm not saying that I'm better than any of you by any means. That's not where I'm trying to get at. I'm just trying to say, for us, we just put all our faith and trust in the Lord, and he never let us down. It's easy to praise the Lord when times are good. Yeah, money's good, job's good, everything. It's not so easy when times are bad. When times are bad, that's when we're supposed to praise the Lord even more. He wants to know that you're going to praise him. He wants you to know that he's in control. Just trust in him. Trust in him. That's all he wants you to do. And that's what we did. It wasn't always easy, but he always got us through it. He never disappointed. So before we know it, our son Clyde was born. 3 years later, our son Jaden was born. And for me, raising our firstborn, Clyde, it was very difficult at times. I often found myself resorting back to the way I was raised, with the violence and the rage. I found myself reacting that way, and it wasn't good. It wasn't healthy, and I had to put a stop to it. For myself and my wife, we both decided to put a stop to it. My wife, she comes from a broken home. Her mom and dad are divorced. I come from a broken home where my mom, biological dad are split up. My mom and dad are divorced. So when we got together, we made a promise to each other. We're going to make that change. We're not going to do that. We're going to put the Lord first. So that's what we're striving to do. My old pastor, Pastor Aaron, he taught me, put God first, family second, job third, everything else comes after. For me, I fall short a lot at trying to put God first. I strive for it, but I don't always succeed. But besides God, family is everything for me. I do not understand these so-called fathers who are not a part of their children's lives. They don't know what they're missing. I come home every day, I see my children. I cannot see myself without my children. My children are like air to me. I cannot go without them. I love them so much. And our job as parents is just to raise them under the Lord and guide them in the path they should go. So as far as churches goes, we went to various churches growing up and everything, and we went to New Hope Church for almost 12 years. Then my sister Nasa invited us to Engage Church, so we've been here since January, and we love it every second of it. I've always had this desire to want to help people, give back to the community, you know. And I always thought that it would happen through our business, you know, but our business never was really successful. And I always was thinking it's gonna be from our business, gonna be from our business. And I was praying to the Lord in October, and He made it clear to me. He's like, "Why you have to wait for your business to be successful? Why can't you help now?" And so here we are today, and I'm gonna talk about our event on Christmas Eve. And thank you for your folks' time.